Hello lovelies, my name is Serafina and thank you for joining me on another Frightening Friday video on Questrified. Today we'll be staying in the New York area as last week was Amityville. Now we go to Westchester County and the disturbing case of Diane Schuler and the wrong way crash on the Taconic Parkway. So let's get it covered so we can discuss it. I do have a problem with this case, I will admit it. On Sunday, July 26th, 2009 at 9:30 a.m., Diane Schuler, date of birth November 13, 1972, age 36, left the Hunter Lake campground in Parksville, New York. She was driving a 2003 Ford Windstar minivan that belonged to her brother, Warren Hance. She had borrowed it in order to carry all the children to the campground. Inside the minivan was Diane, her son Brian, age 5, her daughter Erin, age 2, and her 3 nieces, Emma, age 8, Allison, age 7, and Katie, age 5. Diane's husband, Daniel Schuler, took the dog and drove off in his pickup truck towards home. Diane stopped in Liberty at McDonald's in order to get the children breakfast. She got herself an orange juice. She then went to a Sunoco gas station for gas, and she did go inside, and according to the clerk, she was looking for an over-the-counter pain reliever. She didn't find what she was looking for and left empty-handed. After these stops, Diane began driving aggressively. Several witnesses reported the way that she was driving that included tailgating, flashing her headlights, honking her horn, moving in and out of lanes, attempting to pass on the shoulder, and straddling 2 lanes. At 11:37, Diane phoned her brother Warren, the father of the 3 girls in the van with Diane. She was calling to inform him that they were going to be delayed by traffic. At 11:45 a.m., Diane was seen by the side of the road with her hands on her knees as if she were getting sick. A little time later, she was seen in the same position north of the Ramapo-Slosberg rest stop. Around 1 p.m., another call was placed to Warren from Diane's phone. It was Emma, Warren's daughter, telling her dad that something was wrong with Aunt Diane. She was having trouble seeing and could not speak clearly. Diane did get on the phone and said that she was disoriented and could not see. Warren told Diane to stay off the road, that he would come and get them. Diane did not listen and did not answer follow-up calls. She left her phone on the side of the road. A motorist soon found it. At 1:33 p.m., 2 motorists called 911 after seeing a minivan edging onto the Parkway's northbound exit ramp, which was clearly marked "Do Not Enter." Within the next minute, 4 more calls came into 911 reporting a van going down the wrong way, traveling at about 75 to 85 miles per hour. She drove about 1.7 miles until she crashed head-on into a 2004 Chevrolet Trailblazer SUV, which contained Michael Bastardi, age 81, his son Guy Bastardi, age 49, and their friend Dan Longo, age 74. The 3 men died at the scene. Diane, her daughter Erin, and 2 of her nieces died at the scene as well. Her 3rd niece was taken to the hospital and died later that day. Diane's son Brian was taken to the hospital with broken bones and head trauma. He would survive but remained in the hospital until October. 2 men who witnessed the accident noticed smoke coming from the van. They tried to extricate the occupants. After getting Diane out, 1 man noticed an Absolute vodka bottle on the driver's side. Almost a week after the crash, Toxicology came out and Diane's blood alcohol content was 0.19%. This is more than double the legal limit of 0.08% in the state of New York. She was drunk. She also had high levels of THC in her system. THC is a chemical in marijuana that impairs your abilities. With the amount in her system, she could have smoked sometime between an hour to 15 minutes before the crash. When these results were released, her husband Daniel and her sister-in-law Jay Schuler went into defense mode and refused to accept the findings. They deflected and said that it had to be a medical issue. They also posited that if Diane had been drinking, she did it out of ignorance, not knowing it was vodka, or she did it out of severe pain. To this day, Daniel and Jay maintain that the crash was not Diane's fault, and that the results of Diane's toxicology report are incorrect, or that the test samples do not belong to Diane, and that DNA needs to be tested. Tom Ruskin, a private investigator who was hired for supposedly $30,000 by Daniel, admitted that he has had the samples retested, and they produce the same results, and that DNA matched the samples to Diane. This is when Daniel and Jay stated that due to a medical emergency, Diane was unaware that she was actually drinking vodka. At first, Daniel claimed ignorance to the vodka bottle and where it had come from. He then admitted that they drank during the camping trip in which they were returning from. He also admitted that Diane smoked marijuana occasionally and used it to combat insomnia. Daniel's sister-in-law, Jay, made a statement to the police that Diane used marijuana on a regular basis. This is how the crash happened, but was it an accident or intentional? Diane was dealing with some issues, and perhaps she had enough that day. If this were the case, it's sad that she took so many people with her. It is sad that her husband and sister-in-law cannot come out and say that she made a mistake. No one knows what was in Diane's head as she drove down the parkway in the wrong direction. In 2011, HBO released a documentary titled There's Something Wrong with Aunt Diane. This documentary pissed me off. It is a test to see how long you can put up with just skewed logic and the lack of accountability. Daniel and Jay Schuler refused to hold Diane accountable for her actions on that day. First, Daniel really knows how to pick 'em. He has Dominic Barbara as his attorney in this documentary. Barbara would go on to steal $56,000 from Daniel. His law license has been suspended, he's violated a protection order, he has extorted his ex-wife, and he has represented some of the worst. You are also left wondering why Daniel hired a private investigator if he did not plan to listen or believe anything that he said. Jay states that she was told not to talk to Tom Ruskin, the PI. What we don't learn is why and from who did she get these marching orders? Daniel? Another gem in this documentary is that Jay states that no one in her family knows that she smokes. Well, perhaps no one in the family knew that Diane was a drunk, or at least a closeted drunk. You also get the impression that Daniel resents being a single father. He spends very little time with Brian and bitches about being a single dad. There is a time in the documentary that I don't know if Jay knows the camera is recording her, but she goes off about Daniel regarding him not pulling his weight, not being a parent, never wanting children. It seems that Daniel is quite angry with Diane, so I wonder why he's fighting so hard to deny what she has done. It could be to cover himself or to preserve his legacy. Perhaps it is to take responsibility off Diane's shoulders as a last gift, as she took responsibility off his shoulders for their entire marriage. In the aftermath, the way that her husband Daniel was acting is unacceptable and impedes the family's healing process. It's almost like they had to perpetuate the uncontrolled image that Diane tried to display at all times. When something happens to someone and it takes us by surprise, sometimes we need to deny or justify their behavior. They have a hard time just accepting that the person who they loved could have been flawed, especially when they never portrayed that aspect. I believe Tyler Joseph said it best when he said, "Don't trust a perfect person." Diane was flawed and suffered with issues. I doubt that she ever got over her mother leaving the family when she was a young child. The fact that she stepped up to be the mother of the household, and the fact that she tried to be all to her children that she felt she missed out on with her mother, are things that Diane needed to address. But instead, I believe she used alcohol and marijuana to deal with those feelings. Daniel now acts as if he's not so happy that he has his son with him. He is miserable in the role of single father. In addition, Diane was the breadwinner. It is pretty sad when a husband can act however he chooses and leaves all the responsibility to the wife. In my opinion, Daniel contributed to Diane's issues and did not help them. Perhaps this is why he fights for Diane's innocence, as it would make him have to face the problems that he caused. There were a number of lawsuits and a couple of books written regarding this horrific crash. The Bastardi family wrote a book that was not very good. It spoke poorly of Warren and Jackie, the parents that lost their 3 daughters, and showed no compassion for Brian. It was poorly written. Jackie Hance's book is much more professional and holds a powerful message. The lawsuits, some are unbelievable. Daniel sued Warren and Jackie Hance, stating that the van was faulty. Daniel sued the Bastardi estate, claiming that Guy Bastardi was driving reckless and wanted the estate to pay for funeral expenses and medical bills. And he sued the state of New York, claiming that the roads were not labeled for safety. Yes, Daniel sued the family of the 2 men that his wife killed, and sued the father of the 3 girls his wife killed. What? The Bastardi family sued Daniel and Warren and Jackie Hance. Jackie Hance sued Daniel. In 2014, 4 of these lawsuits were settled, but the rulings were confidential, so we do not know what happened in them, but I'm assuming that Daniel's went nowhere. He was suing the family of 2 of the men that his wife killed for funeral expenses. Have we gotten to a point where the victim has to pay to bury their killer? Let me know what you think in the comment section below. Do you think this crash was an accident or intentional? Do you go in for Daniel and Jay's line of thinking? Thank you for joining me today, and I will see you in the next video. Take care of yourselves. Bye.